we have every person has his or her priorities. And we see that there are differences within the DIS and C style. But there are also some similarities because some parts, all the styles share with one or another style, except opposite styles. Yeah, D and S are opposites and I and C are opposites. So they are more far from each other, as you remember from this axis exercise as well. So then you see in this slide, motivated by. So people have their different internal motivators, and it is very good to know this beforehand when we want to, for example, build desire in any of the people. So it would be good knowledge when we have this beforehand, when we know that, okay, how this person gets motivated, what is important for him or her. Then also fears, when the fears come out and the fears start influencing the process, when this come out and when I need to take this into account, and what are typical limitations of the styles. Yeah, so that where people might be limited, not necessarily always, but these are typical limitations that are connected with the different styles. Okay, are you ready for quiz? And Uku is preparing it now for us. And again, we need to use the same poll as it's already familiar to you. And in this quiz, two things are important: right answer, but also when you do it quicker, when you are quick within your answer, then you get more points. So you can get 1,000 points per question. Are you ready, everyone?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, very good. I see some thumbs coming up. And
okay. So now
let's go.
Start seeing the questions. So first one, S style is motivated by.
Yeah, S style is motivated by, and check the answers, and there might be more than one quite right answer, but one of the answers is more right than the other. So try to find, because only one is considered right in this exercise. So, and make your choice, and you have 20 seconds, yeah? 20 seconds for your answer. Oh, very good. And we see in this room, 80% of people are in the right track. So of course, social recognition is also fitting to S style, but it's more familiar to I, social style. And achievement, also not very far, is also important for S, but achievement for D is maybe the more important motivator. Therefore, it's eliminated here as a right answer for S. Very good. Let's go ahead. We see also, but let's skip. This was just the first one. Now, second question. D style, biggest fear. What D style fears most? Of course, you can hear from high dominating people that they don't afraid anything. So, but one should be more right than the others. You see quite quick. And again, you are really talented people here in this room. It's
a special group, Matti.
Special group. Special group. A lot of knowledge from this already, which is very good, 80% here. Okay, some people chose also criticism of what they do. Yeah, but you see what dominant people usually say when someone is criticizing. They don't care very much. They are very, they don't care. Critics, therefore, they are always first ones who try it out, even risky behaviors. If they fear critics a lot, they take more time for thinking and preparing themselves, but they typically don't do that much. But good. Can we go on? We see that two people are leading now.
Matti, we forgot to mention that the winner has an award.
Yes, now it's important to play even better than so far. We have award for the first place. Or if there are two people in the first place, then two people receive award. Yeah. So next. The best way to recognize and reward a C style. C was conscientious people. So what is needed for them? How to recognize and reward C. Yeah, you see now was first question that only 34 people found it the best one here. Yeah, complement their performance privately. This is exactly specific for C. 55% of participants, give them a development opportunity that lets them network with others. Okay, of course, it also could fit, but who takes care and is more interested in networking? Sees sometimes they are not very fond of that. But I people, for example, social people, they like networking much, much more. Okay, this was difficult, it seems, but you see, Ilse is now taking a lead, but we have some more questions left. I style gains security by. So remembering I was influencing people, social style is I. What is important for them to gain security? How they feel secure? Yeah, this was also a tricky question. And it happened this way, that close relationships, yes, this is also true. But flexibility and variety is even more important for them than close relationships. And you remember that I people have a lot of relationships. They are very, very social. But who is very often has more close relationships, even high social people, are S people, steady people, who also take care of relationships, but they don't have that many relationships, and they serve their relationships better, and therefore their relationships are more close than I people. Now, this was a tricky question, but we have put especially more complicated things here, and we still see that Ilse is in lead, but there is Marielle is on the second place, very, very close already to Ilse. Now, probably it's last one. If you work for a S-style person and want to get buy-in on your idea, you will get better results by. You want to get buy-in from steady people, supportive style people. So what is most relevant? Here is a bit too much to read, but hopefully we can do it. Yeah, again, this was a bit difficult. The choice that was half of you avoiding pushing them to move too quickly and by being ready to provide all the facts and data you have. Yes, this is right, but there is one style who wants it even more than S. And you can guess one more time who can it be. This is C people. But laying out your plan step by step and avoiding too much focus on the bottom line results is reducing a lot of tension and help S and steady people really a lot. This is even more relevant than first one. But first one is also not wrong, but it fits even better to C people. Okay, have we done it? Uku, or was one more?
No, there's now will come the last one.
One more. Okay, last one comes. when selling an idea to a person with an I style, you might need two. So selling idea to I, what we need to do. Yeah, so most of you were in a right track, discuss exciting new possibilities and share personal anecdotes. This is very symptomatic to I people, and of course you got it well. Second choice was give him or her time to get comfortable with a decision and provide assurances of support. Also not bad and could fit, but there is one more style who even fits more. And of course, this is S style. They are taking, or they need it even more to get this support from you. Okay, what's the final result? How many winners we have? One.
Tim, I thought you had it, but Ilse.
Wow.
Fantastic. Fantastic. Oh, but there is so small difference. What we do, Uku? Shall we give two prizes?
Yeah, let's give
both two prizes, because the difference is really small. Ilse, and I am not sure I pronounced the name right. Marielle. Yeah, Marielle is there. Ilse is.
Well done, Marielle.
We don't see Ilse's face, but thank you very much for your active participation. And you are most clever people probably in this group, and all the others are going to rely on all of you who did it well. And I think we learned a bit also within this exercise, but it all was just preparation for the next step. Why you are here today and why we are all here today and why we need to get benefit from. Thank you very much for participating in this game. And Angelo, are you going to take over?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks so much, Matty. That was great. That was getting really tight at the end there, so that was excellent. Okay.
Just a control question. Which style hates change most?
Oh, we got stuck on that one. The steadiness.
Yeah, exactly. S.
Yeah.
We're like, they don't want to know about awareness, the end.
Yeah. And what's the reason for that?
Because it's not steady, unstable.
Yeah,
because it's something new and they need to know something more about it.
Yeah, but then it might be too sudden and not enough preparation talking. Yeah, so that they hate that somebody wants to change and too quickly and too much and so on. Not enough steady, not secure.
Yeah, we figured that was the group that you started to talk about awareness of change and they would dig their heels in. They don't want to go any further than that.
Yeah.
Oh.
And just going back to our exercise earlier, right? So if the steadiness style is the S style is the one that's most potentially confronted by change, which was the style that was most missing in this group earlier when we did our little exercise? Can you remember? Where was the biggest gap?
S.
Not surprising. So one of the things that we noticed about it'd be very surprised now if we had a group of change managers who were all high S. Yeah, that would be a bit of a surprise. So one of the things we do notice is that people may be drawn to different roles, professions, opportunities in life based on their style as well, right? So which is just something to be aware of. And there does seem to be a pattern in terms of leadership that there tend to be more Ds or DIs. Yeah. So, okay, well done, folks. Thanks a million. Isolde, did you put your email into the chat by any chance?
I've done that already,
Okay.
but I'll do it again, just so it's
thanks a million. Cheers.
So
thanks.
A couple of private questions to me. If anybody wants to, you can upload your document to the chat from this previous exercise if you want to, or you can send it to the email that's coming in the chat now.
That's great. Thanks a million, folks, and thanks for doing that work. Together, we'll pull all of those inputs into a single document and send them out to you, and then hopefully that'll be a useful tool for you going forward. Yeah. Uku, would you mind popping up the slides? Yeah, thanks a mil. So just by way of summary, before we get into our discussion and Q&A, just to remind ourselves some of the key points here, right? So if we're looking at a D style when it comes to change, one of the key things for them is being able to get results quickly and efficiently and demonstrate impact, have a level of control over the process or input to the process, and clearly understand the case for why this change is going to be made in very straightforward terms, okay? The I wants excitement, they want to be heard, they want to do this in a way which helps them build relationships, exploit their relationships, have opportunities to explore things collaboratively and in groups. Our S's want reassurance. They want to understand how this will get us to a more steady situation in the future, or will address a level of unsteadiness at the moment. And then in terms of the C's, they want to understand how they can build their own competence, their credibility, but they're looking for competence and credibility in the leadership leading this change. And they want a sense of predictability and freedom from chaos, but they also want to focus on quality. So a big issue for them is, how is this going to be the best possible solution? Yeah, and how does this get us to a better place, right? So quality is a big driver for them. Yeah. Okay. So cool. Thanks a million. Now we'll skip ahead, Uku, if you don't mind, to the next little piece. So this is kind of just a few questions just to pose for ourselves. I'm going to ask Matty to share his thoughts. We'll share some of our thoughts, Uku and Eka as well. But we're also throwing it open to the group, right? So these are just some starter questions, yeah, to get us going. And feel free to either unmute and ask a question, make a comment or observation, or drop your question into the chat if you prefer, okay? So Matty, what do you think is the value of using this DISC lens for change projects? What's the business case?
Yeah, so that I think that actually better relationship is for me, I think, the main value, because actually this trust and relationship, what we need in the change process, this is needed actually to create beforehand, before even we start thinking about the change. And when there is less trust, when there are bad relationships, when previous changes have been really bad, actually it also starts counting in this. That is too late. We can't do much within this change when everything is destroyed earlier. So therefore, I think the main value is when we are aware of the style differences. So it means that we are probably also more strong to create and think about this beforehand, to just be prepared for any change.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. Eka, what are your thoughts around this one?
Yeah, thanks, Angela. I really like the dialogues in my group. I would say speed of adoption. This is one that's so dear to us that ADKAR also is intending to achieve. And this can add here by just understanding this, preventing conflict and understanding resistance and understanding the personal nature of that. I have seen it in some, for example, CRM adoption process, how this can add a new lens, how we work with a client.
Yeah, absolutely. Uku, what are your thoughts?
I think for managers, it would really be valuable to know who are actually in their teams, what kind of behavioral styles people they have, and just to better understand how to support each and every one of them.
Yeah, I think for me, that's a huge piece of this, is that it gives us a language to understand how we can adapt our own behavior, because the challenge for us is we are maybe speaking to ourselves, because we're speaking from our own behavioral style. And if we're not taking account of those other approaches and other preferences and tendencies, then the danger is we're just talking to a very limited audience. We're not tailoring our messages. We're not considering, as we're helping our own direct reports through their journeys, we're not thinking about the kinds of objections or concerns that they might have from their perspective. And I think, as Matty said there, this is about trust. And one of the ways that we can really help build trust here is by demonstrating the empathy, that this is coming not coming from necessarily a negative place. Yeah, they're questioning or resisting or pushing back in particular ways because that's the way they see the world. That it's their style that is driving that, not because they're being difficult. Yeah, and I think that just that level of empathy and understanding is very helpful. Any thoughts, folks? Any observations on that one? Does anybody else see any value in this lens? Feel free to unmute, put your hand up, throw a comment into the chat if you wish.
I think there's a lot of value because internally, at least, we are in the middle of the merger and so on, and it's been kind of the manager's question, for the desire part, for example, that how to do that. So here, when we're speaking about the different disc profiles and thinking how they get, where do they get motivation and so on, you get maybe, a very valuable handle in raising or enhancing the desire toward the change, because it's not the same things that have the same meaning for different people. So you might be, doing it wrong, even, if you're an I person and excited about the change, and you're mainly leading S people. So there's a conflict right there. So this is definitely a very useful and easy tool, I would say, to get a handle on that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. How else could we use this, do you think, as practitioners? How else could we use this approach or this lens? And obviously there are other tools out there in relation to this, so not just DISC, but how might we use this approach, do you think, in our practice?
I think it's a great opener for everyone on the team to understand who, like if you're working on a project as a team, who you're working with, so people understand a little bit more about themselves and they understand more about their teammates. And then if you are leading the change, then who would the stakeholders be that you would engage based on the personalities that you're working with? So that might skew, what kind of influencer you need, or what type of role you might provide this person in terms of, helping them be successful and you to be successful leading the project.
That's lovely. I really like that.
I think we have a hand raised by from Nicole.
Yeah, thank you. I think it's particularly valuable. Yep. I think it's particularly valuable when it comes to writing our plans and, just sort of having a checklist to sort of the different things that are driving people and making sure that we have the full range covered in our, in our planning for the change, the communication plans, for example.
Yeah, tailoring our messages or making sure that we're addressing different approaches. Exactly. And even thinking in terms of designing our engagement activities so that we have a range of opportunities for people to engage, because they will want to engage in different ways. Yeah, so all of that is, I think, really useful. Great. Thanks a million, Nicole. Any other thoughts, folks?
How about the relationship with the sponsor?
So
how
talk to me
might
about that,
leverage
Christian.
this?
Yeah, talk to me about that. So how?
Well, we know that based on the Prosci research, the sponsorship is the #1 success factor for a project. And we also have reports saying that quite many practitioners have some challenges in relating with their sponsors. So those lenses of that might be used in terms of DISC approach might help the practitioner better understand how to work with the sponsor, how to approach properly. Does he prefer a short message? Does he prefer details? Should I give them or him or her 2 options or 10? Those kind of very pragmatical approaches might be very useful in terms of knowing how to work with the sponsor and building his sponsor plan, exactly like Nicole was saying about building the proper plans.
And just so there's that direct relationship between you as a practitioner to the sponsor and how to get the most from that relationship and build a high trust relationship with your sponsor. Absolutely. But there's also a piece there then too, on top of that, is if we're having to do some coaching with or support work with the sponsor or the sponsor coalition, is to think about how we can help them better tailor their messaging to different audiences. So just as ADKAR gives leaders a language to think about change, DISC or similar gives people a language to think about difference. And so it can be, I think, a really useful coaching tool for them to make sure, because I'm sure everybody in this group has seen sponsors stand up and talk to themselves when they're dealing with a large audience. Yeah. And so the challenge then is help them to understand that different audiences have different needs.
Yeah, knowing, for example, the style of the sponsor, it means also that you could predict some of the typical limitations coming from this style. So that, let's say that the sponsor is very emotional and a very influencing person. Yeah, what are typical limitations that you just went through in your discussion? So how you could take this into account, that those limitations are not influencing the whole change process. Because if we know from research that so important is a sponsor's role, then we could help this process a lot, just helping a sponsor to fulfill his role in a much better way. Yeah, this was a really good point, Christian, that you brought this in. Thank you.
I will bring in one more angle, if I may, Angelo.
Sure, okay, yeah.
Remember from process research that almost half of resistance can be prevented. Mm-hmm. And if you add to this DISC now, as I'm sure all of you have experienced it, that you're at some point you're so angry that you want to show your frustration in something that has caused it for you, and then the other person just unarms you with providing you what's your priority, telling approaching you exactly the way that what's driving you, and that's what this can allow you to do. And this gives us the tactics to think about how can we work one-on-one and to prevent and really imagine what it does over time if we manage to harness that 50% already with good planning and good tools.
Yeah, absolutely. We just have a few
What
minutes.
I like also is...
Sorry, Sabrina. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah?
Go ahead. Yeah.
No, it's just following up on that. What I like about including the DISC is also that we, like you said, have a language, but also it's not who you are, it's your preference. Mm-hmm. So if we could talk about how do we react in these situations or in change, it's common. It's more like how do we engage in it and how do we talk about it. So this gives us a tool to talk about it in a way that's not being personal. You're kind of externalizing the problem. So I think that's what I really like about using the DISC as a tool, like, because sometimes it's difficult to talk about people. We say they don't like change, opposed to change, but using that language in the disc gives us an opportunity to talk not personalized about it. if you follow me.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's not about you being difficult. It's about, you know, or negative intent. Yeah, it's about, I'm coming from my preference, and my preference has different needs to yours, and therefore it's a bit scratchy. You know, it's a bit challenging. Yeah. But if I understand that, that takes away a little bit of the negativity around it. Yeah. So I think you're absolutely right, Sabrina. It depersonalizes it. It's just about preference. Yeah.
To her point, it's a common language, so that then you can talk. And the only thing that I would add on to that is that it's important to also take into cultural norms. Yeah. So, you know, what that more social means in one country might be very different in another.
Yeah. Good point. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. You know, and what is acceptable challenge in one culture may not be acceptable challenge in another.
Yeah, and when people are tired, they tend to default. Even if you've seen them one way, they tend to default to what they're most comfortable with. And
yeah, and we didn't explore stressors and motivators, but you'll see this when you do your profiles in your feedback. You'll see some of the drivers in terms of your, you know, what particularly stresses you or particularly is useful as a motivator. And I think that can be really helpful too, to understand when you're being triggered like that and you're tired, you're more likely, and under stress, you're more likely to revert to habit and to your preferences. And therefore it's really useful to understand when I might be triggered. Yeah. And what to look for in a situation that I will find motivating and engaging and useful and energizing. Yeah. Okay. We might just take one more thought or question or observation.
Tim had raised the hand.
Tim, fire ahead. Yeah.
My idea or the realization is that this is also something you can use in proposals, in the process of actually marketing yourselves, making the link between the two models. I can imagine that being very attractive to all of the disc types.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think there's a few things there. There's marketing yourself as a practitioner to your stakeholders or to potential clients. There's marketing change management to different audiences.
Yeah.
There is marketing the particular case for change to different audiences on a particular project. So I think there are lots of opportunities to think about what are the audiences I'm dealing with in a particular context, and how do I ensure that, particularly when I don't know what the mix is, how do I ensure that I tailor my messaging in a way that gives me the most range, yeah, in terms of my audience. Okay, super. Thanks, folks. I hope that was useful and interesting. Couple of things just by way of follow-up. So there'll be a couple of elements going out to you, right? So please bear with us for a few days. We'll collate all of the material and send that out to you. But more immediately, you will be getting a complimentary disc profile, okay? So that will be coming out from John Wiley, the publishers. We'll be sending that out. You complete the disc profile on Everything Disc, which is a system and a profile from John Wiley. Both Matty's organization and mine, we are authorized partners for Wiley as well as Prosci. So you'll be getting a complimentary profile. That'll be going out to you later today, I believe, okay? You will also get the webinar slides from today. That'll be going out to you, but the matrix summary will take a few days. We just need to collate it, yeah? To those of you the two winners of our competition, you will be getting an additional profile, which you can use as a gift for family, friends, colleagues, and so on, right? Also, we will be offering a debrief. If anybody wishes to get a debrief, we are giving a special rate on that for a 1-hour session to walk you through your feedback. It is very self-explanatory, but if anybody would like to bounce some thoughts or ideas around their feedback with one of us, then absolutely, we'd be more than happy to do that. Okay. The third possibility too is if you are really interested in this as an approach and you'd like to build your own skill set around this, then we can also offer certification in everything DISC. And that will be at a special discount for members of the CCB network here today. Okay.
Sorry, Angela, certification also means that you get access to run and take profiles for other people in future, so that this is also differentiating certification from any other DISC program.
Yeah, so you have the option to be then able to have your own account and deliver those deliver profiles for your colleagues or in teams or in a change context and so on. Yeah. Okay, so next steps and mechanics, Isolde.
Yeah, you are finishing now.
Yeah.
All right, cool. I just wanted to check. Guys, look, thank you really a lot for such a lovely webinar. And also thank you to all the participants for being so active. This is really what makes the CCB network webinars, I think, better. Personally, that's my opinion. That we have you giving your ideas, you're building certain tools or ways of working with things. Sorry, it depends a bit on the webinar. Each webinar we're quite active in getting you active, so the theme works a little differently, but great that you're all here. Basically for now, keep in mind every month on the 3rd Tuesday of each month we have a webinar. And for those of you who like to stick around, we started last month a new tradition, and that is to stick around for an unofficial chat, drink together. And to just ask questions if you have further questions for the host, but also to make contact with peers in the change management world across Europe. So keep that in mind. If you can't make it today and you'd like to join, it will happen each time after the webinars. And it would be really great to meet you one-to-one in small groups. We'll just see how that goes, but it's really unofficial and just, yeah, be lovely to meet you. Going to just introduce Marielle, if that's okay. Marielle will be giving our next month's webinar together with Lieselot. So she can tell just a quick, brief summary of what that will be.
Yeah, sure. So Lieselot and myself, we're preparing the webinar now, and the webinar next month will be about the manager's role in change. So why the line managers are important and especially how we can best support them. So we will be building a coaching plan catalog together in different groups again. And after the webinar, you'll be sent the complete catalog for inspiration when you need to support managers in times of change, and you will gather all kinds of great ideas in terms of what the possibilities and opportunities are. So we're really looking forward to that, and we hope to see you there as well.
Yeah, so that's on the 20th of April or the 3rd Tuesday of the month.